Paralysis is certainly a fear that many have, and in 2024, Netflix decided to capitalize on this by releasing the thriller Don't Move. Don't Move is a pretty clever, original concept with solid acting and some terrific scenes. I didn't find myself bored at all in going into this movie. I must admit, my thoughts were, how can they make an entire movie around a paralyzed woman trying to escape a bad guy? I didn't think it would work, but I was dead wrong. This movie had some terrific scenes, and it wasn't just a paralyzed woman laying in the grass for 2 hours. Don't Move focuses on a grieving woman named Iris. She's about to commit suicide in the woods in the spot where her son was killed. As she's thinking about ending her life, she meets a stranger in the woods who convinces her not to. The man, who uses the name Richard, soon knocks her out and gives her a paralyzing agent. The woman is able to escape from the man, but as she's running away, she learns he has given her a paralyzing agent. Iris runs knowing she has about 20 minutes before becoming fully paralyzed. So there's a few things I liked and didn't like about this movie I want to call out. Now, the first is the main character. Iris is a grieving mother who just lost her child and is on the verge of suicide. She's certainly flawed and feeling hopeless, and to me this makes it much easier to root for her in the film. And this is not because she's grieving, but really because all too often in movies like this, we see the main character presented as perfect with no flaws. Iris, she's easy to like because she's really humanized by the writers. She needs meaning in her life again and has to get back the will to live. Now, the antagonist in this movie too is really good. Richard, played by Finn Wittrock. Richard has without question lost his mind and has been attacking women who come out to the woods. Richard is intelligent, strong, and extremely persuasive, although a couple times in the movie he seems to be trying to persuade one old guy and then also a cop, and they both catch him in a lie. But still, he's presented as this experienced killer, which makes escaping from him that much harder for Iris. At the same time, we learn Richard has a family and comes to the woods for his extracurricular activity. Now, in addition, as mentioned, I thought the movie had a number of good scenes. It was well written out, and we, the viewer, are kind of treated to a variety of challenges that Iris has to overcome. The first has to do with hopping in the water when she's running away initially. That, of course, could have backfired badly for her. Now, the scene at the old man's cabin was good, as was the scene with the cop. In general, the movie just flowed really well, and the conflict between the two, between Richard and Iris, was very well done as well. All this said, the movie did have a few weaknesses. The first was the ending. Richard and Iris are in the middle of the lake. Richard is planning to drown her and just drop her in. Iris is able to grab his knife and then essentially stab him through the neck. And at that point, she shoots him, but she also shoots a hole in the boat. And at this point, it's a little bit silly the way they do this, a little bit very unrealistic, because remember, Iris is barely able to, at this point, sit up, really do much. She can't really stand up at all and fight him, yet this boat is sinking, and with her hands bound, she's able to swim out of the lake and get out of the lake and live. That would be something very hard for someone who's in good shape to do. Now, something else I want to point out about this ending scene as well is somehow Iris is able to extract this knife from Richard, an experienced killer, and, she's incredibly jerky. The paralysis is still coming off or wearing off her. So she doesn't have her motor skills at this point. It all just seems pretty unrealistic to me. She'd be able to trick him, confiscate the knife from him when he's not looking. One other issue I had in the ending is he plans on dropping her in the bottom of this lake in broad daylight. Is he not concerned at all that someone could see him? One other weakness too, I thought, was around Richard and his motivation. He saves Iris from committing suicide, and then it just essentially saves her so he can kill her. I think the way his character was presented was that he probably would have preferred to have a challenge, not someone who wants to kill themselves. It seems a little bit more realistic to me. In addition, I didn't really like Iris's backstory. I like the way they gave her flaws and humanized her, but I'm not sure this is the best backstory to go with in this situation. They could have gone with the stereotypical abused woman, or the woman who's struggling either financially or with some sort of family relationship. I'm not sure they needed to go this far in terms of having a child die. I get that she regained her will to live and everything, but I still think the movie could have been good without this theme that Richard somehow gives her the will to live again. One other thing I do want to point out as well is there seems to be this lack of police presence or knowledge that something's happening up in those woods to those women. Richard seems to be presented as a serial killer, and it's made evident by how he tells Iris she'll have plenty of company at the bottom of the lake. Now, if that's the case, wouldn't the police presence be bigger around there? It seems like a decent detective as well would be able to find out, okay, a man comes in from out of town all alone, he stays by himself, and during those weekends, women always go missing. There really can't be that many places or homes up there to stay, and it doesn't really seem like he's traveling far to dump the bodies or anything. So for the most part, I think that that part of the movie really wasn't well done. It's definitely one weakness. Still, overall, I think this is an interesting movie. It's well done, it's tense and engaging, and I would recommend it.